Episode 5, The Social Dimension, The Tribe. The 7D Creator, Rising, Creating, Evolving. The Tribe. The Social Dimension. You were never meant to create alone. The Myth of the Lone Creator. Welcome back to the 7D Creator. I want to begin by dismantling a myth. The myth of the lone creator. The genius in isolation. The artist who needs no one. The entrepreneur who builds alone. The creator so original, so visionary, so self-sufficient that they require nothing from other human beings except their eventual attention and admiration. This myth is everywhere. In the stories we tell about great creators. In the romanticization of solitude. In the glorification of the hustle culture that says head down, build alone, trust no one. And it is one of the most damaging myths that exists for the creative person. Because here is the truth. There is not a single significant human creation in history that was truly made alone. The book was written in solitude, but was shaped by every conversation, every relationship, every piece of feedback, every teacher, every reader, every human connection that informed the writer's understanding of what it means to be human. The business was built by one person's vision, but sustained by a team, a community, a network of relationships that believed in that vision and gave their energy to it. The song that changes lives wrote itself in one person's heart, but it only changes lives when it reaches another person's heart. And the bridge between those two hearts is the social dimension. You are not made to create alone. You are made to create in relationship, in community, in the electric, generative, sometimes messy, always essential space of human connection. Today, we go into the social dimension, and I want you to leave this episode understanding that your community is not the audience for your creativity. It is the co-creator of it. What the social dimension means for a creator. The social dimension of the 7D Creator is not about social media, though social media is part of it. It is about the full spectrum of human connection in a creator's life. At the deepest level, the intimate relationships, the people who know you before you are the creator, your family, your closest friends, the people who have seen your falls and celebrated your rises. These relationships are the bedrock, the place where your identity is held when the creative work shakes it, the people who remind you of who you are when the external world tries to tell you who you should be. At the next level, your creative community. The people who do what you do, or something adjacent to what you do. Collaborators, peers, fellow creators who understand the specific texture of the creative life. The exhilaration and the doubt, the public face and the private struggle. These relationships are where creative growth happens. Where you are stretched and challenged and seen as a creator, not just as a person. At the next level, your audience community, the people who encounter your creative work and are changed by it, who come back for more, who share it, who build their own lives around the truths you communicate. This community is not passive. It is active. It shapes your work through its response, its questions, its needs, and the ways it tells you, explicitly and implicitly, what it needs from you next. And at the outermost level, the broader social ecosystem of your field, your industry, your world. The mentors you have never met but whose work has formed you. The movements you are part of. The cultural conversations your creative work participates in. The 7D Creator is conscious at all 4 levels. They tend the intimate, they invest in the peer community. They genuinely serve the audience, and they stay aware of the broader conversation their work is part of. That is the full social dimension of a creative life. The story of the creator who tried to go it alone. This is a story I know from the inside. There was a creator who believed, really believed, that she could build everything alone, not from arrogance, from a kind of protective self-sufficiency that made perfect sense given her history. She had learned early that depending on people could mean being let down by people. And the pain of that, of reaching out and finding nothing there, was a pain she had decided not to repeat. So she built her walls, kept her creative work close and private, shared finished things only when they were perfect, never asked for help because asking for help meant admitting she needed it, never collaborated because collaboration meant trusting someone with something that mattered. And she built things, real things, impressive things. But in the quiet, after the creating and the building and the producing, she felt something she could not quite name. Not loneliness exactly, something more specific. She felt unseen. Not by her audience, they were there. Not by the world, it was responding. But unseen in the deep sense. The way that only happens when the people who know the work do not also know the person. When the creative output is known, but the creative heart is not. And she realized, slowly, painfully, with the resistance that comes from having to unlearn a deep survival pattern, that the walls she had built to protect herself from being let down had also kept out the thing her creativity most needed. Witness. Real, genuine, reciprocal human witness. The experience of creating something and having someone who truly knows you say, "Yes, I see you in this. I see what this cost you to make. I see what it could do for the people who receive it." The dismantling of the walls was not dramatic. It was one conversation at a time, one collaboration offered and accepted, one vulnerability expressed that did not end in catastrophe. One community joined, one peer trusted with something unfinished, and with each small opening, the creativity deepened. The work became richer, the reach became wider, because the creator was no longer trying to pour from a vessel that never received. She was in relationship, and relationship, it turns out, was the source she had been searching for all along. How to build a creative community that sustains you. Let me give you 5 principles for building the social dimension of your creative life. Principle 1. Give before you ask. The creator who approaches their community as a resource to extract from will exhaust it quickly. The creator who approaches their community as a group of human beings to serve, to celebrate, to genuinely help, builds something that grows and deepens over time. Give your best ideas. Give your honest truth. Give your attention to the people who show up for your work. Give without immediately calculating the return. The return always comes, and it always exceeds what was given. Principle 2. Find your creative peers. Every creator needs people in their life who understand what the creative life actually feels like from the inside, not just the highlights, the doubt, the imposter syndrome, the block, the creative seasons, and the dry spells. Find those people. Invest in those relationships. A weekly conversation with a creative peer who truly gets it is worth more to your creative life than any strategy session or productivity system. Principle 3. Build community around your work, not just around yourself. The most enduring creative communities are not built around the creator's personality. They are built around a shared value, a shared mission, or a shared experience. Your community gathers not just because they love you, but because they love what your work stands for, what it is working toward, what it believes is possible. Build community around that, and the community will outlast any platform, any algorithm, any change in your creative direction. Principle 4. Collaborate generously. Collaboration is one of the most accelerating forces in a creator's life. When you create with someone whose gifts complement yours, you both make something neither could make alone, and the audiences of both creators discover each other. Collaboration multiplies everything: reach, ideas, possibility, joy. Principle 5. Protect your intimate relationships fiercely. The creative life can consume everything if you let it, including the relationships that sustain you at the deepest level. Your family, your closest friendships, the people who loved you before you were creating, and who will love you if you never create another thing. Protect those relationships. Be present for them. Do not sacrifice the foundation for the structure built upon it. The interconnection. How the social dimension feeds all the others. Community is not just one dimension among 7. It is the dimension that makes all the others livable. When your spiritual dimension calls you to a purpose, your community is the context in which that purpose is lived out. Purpose without people is theory. Purpose in community becomes practice, accountability, and impact. When your occupational dimension builds your creative work, your community is the market, the collaborator, and the mirror. They tell you what the work means to them. They help you see what you cannot see from inside your own creation. When your physical dimension needs support, your community carries you. The friend who walks with you, the community that holds space when you are ill or depleted. Human connection has measurable physiological benefits: reducing cortisol, strengthening immunity, extending life. You are literally healthier in community. When your intellectual dimension is hungry, your community is the library, the peer who recommends the book that changes everything, the collaborator who introduces a frame of thinking you had never encountered, the student whose question opens a dimension of your own knowledge you had never explored. When your environmental dimension creates your spaces, your community fills them with life. The most beautiful environment is meaningless without the human warmth of people who inhabit it with you. Spaces are completed by the people who gather in them. And when your emotional dimension needs holding, your community is the answer. Grief shared is grief halved. Joy shared is joy doubled. The creative life is emotional in its very nature, and the creator who has community to share the emotional texture of that life is immeasurably more resilient than the one who faces it alone. You are never meant to create alone, not because you are incapable alone, but because creation in community is categorically richer, deeper, and more life-giving than creation in isolation. Love is the foundation of the social dimension. I want to close this episode with the word that is at the heart of everything the social dimension is about. Love. Not romantic love, though that is part of it. Not the love that is contingent on performance or reciprocity. The love that simply chooses to show up. That says, I am here. I see you. What you are doing matters. I am with you. The creator who creates from love, for their community, for the world, for the work itself, makes things that carry that love. And people can feel it. Not always consciously, but in the way they return to the work, in the way they share it, in the way they say to themselves, this creator genuinely cares about me, and I trust them because of it. Love is not a soft strategy, it is the hardest, most disciplined, most sustainable creative practice available. To love your community means to genuinely care about their growth, not just their engagement. To serve their actual needs, not just their surface desires. To be honest with them, even when honesty is uncomfortable. To show up consistently, especially when it would be easier not to. That kind of love, sustained, genuine, creative love, is the foundation of every creative community worth belonging to. Build yours from that foundation and watch what it builds in return. We are all one. One love. Love vibes. The tribe you build around your creative work is not your audience. It is your ecosystem. It sustains you as much as you sustain it. It creates you as much as you create for it. Never take it for granted. Never stop investing in it. Never stop being genuinely grateful for the extraordinary miracle of a human being who chooses to show up for what you make. In episode 6, we go outside, into the world itself, into the environmental dimension, the spaces, the nature, the world that surrounds and shapes and inspires every creative life. The earth is your studio. Come find out how to use it. With love, Gladys. Thank you for spending this moment with me today. If this conversation moved you, share it. Not because I need the numbers, but because somewhere in your world there is a person who needs to hear exactly what you just heard. Be the reason they find it. And come find me at Smart Investor Leader, where we continue this journey together. Every dimension, every day, every version of you that is still becoming. See you there at www.smartinvestorleader.com.